Ladies and gentlemen, I have news for you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Down goes Trumpcare. Down goes Trumpcare. So whether this zombie is revived, we will see. But the Republicans' health care bill appeared to have bit the dust today. Let me explain how it went down for you guys. So you know the House passed their version of repealing Obamacare and replacing it with a bill that would leave 23 million people uninsured. The House version would have taken away your protections on pre-existing conditions. It would have made premiums on seniors far more expensive. It would have covered less of your health care. It was an absolute disaster, and its ratings are horrific, as I'll show you in a little bit. The Senate had a very similar bill. It took 22 million people off of health care, and it also got rid of Obamacare and replaced it with something far inferior that also cost more for most Americans. So as it looked like they were going to strong arm it in, there was always a couple of objections on the Republican side. Susan Collins was almost from the beginning a no, and remember they need to hold all but 2 Republican senators because they only have 52. Their plan was to barely get to 50, do some of this, some of it they can't even do because it would require 60 votes, and then get Mike Pence to break the tie. But they lost Susan Collins from the beginning because she thought it was too draconian. They lost Rand Paul from the beginning because he thought it was not draconian enough. He just wants like libertarian island where everybody just eats each other or whatever, okay? So he was never gonna vote yes, it was never gonna be harsh enough for him. So they needed everyone else to hold. And last night, Mike Lee and Jerry Moran, both conservatives, came out and said, nope, we're with Rand Paul. This doesn't kick enough people off of healthcare. Okay, so they didn't use those exact words, but basically they said, no, more freedom. In other words, we need more tax cuts for the rich. And this doesn't devastate Medicaid enough. Unbelievable. So, but yes, there are no votes, thank God. So then now they could not pass the Senate version that we've been talking about for weeks. Well, then Mitch McConnell came out and said these things, and then I'm going to tell you what their new plan is and why that appears to have also immediately bit the dust. So, and I'll tell you the votes behind it. McConnell said today, regretfully, it is now apparent that the effort to repeal and immediately replace the failure of Obamacare will not be successful. Okay, we added the fireworks. Okay, Huffington Post reports further. He continues to say the Senate would take up an earlier House bill and vote for a repeal of Obamacare with a 2-year delay to provide a stable transition period to a patient-centered healthcare system. Okay, now, what does that mean? That means, I don't know, we just get rid of Obamacare because we told our voters we'd do that, and then we punt. And we go, what are we replacing with? I don't know. I mean, the amount of people who would lose health insurance under that is so gigantic that one estimate put it at 75% of the country. So their backup plan was, we just get rid of insurance. Okay, preposterous. So I'm going to tell you what happened with it already today. While various media outlets noted that it was highly unlikely a full repeal of the Affordable Care Act would pass, McConnell's move likely amounted to a challenge to colleagues who had deemed his repeal and replace program not conservative enough. That's what I told you. That's Mike Lee, Rand Paul, all those guys saying, no, I want to kick more people off of Medicaid and I want to kick more people off of their health insurance. And if they don't have insurance, we got something else for them, bootstraps, right? So McConnell called their bluff and said, okay, you want to just repeal it and have no backup plan, and maybe hopefully 2 years later, you would need 60 votes for that. Somehow we get 8 Democrats to agree with us to destroy Obamacare and replace it with something that covers less people. That's your plan? And as soon as he announced that, Mike Lee was, yeah, I like that plan. Yeah, that's my plan. So he then said, all right, now I'll vote for it. But then they immediately lost other votes because Shelley Moore Capito in West Virginia is like, hey, listen, knuckleheads, you're not getting it. 1/3 of West Virginia is on Medicaid. I can't repeal it and then go, yeah, I don't know. 1/3 of the state has no insurance, right? That's because Medicaid, of course, got increased under the Affordable Care Act, and that's why it covers so many people in West Virginia. And even though they voted overwhelmingly for Trump, they actually kind of love Obamacare. So if you took that away from them, they'd be like, wait a minute, did we just vote against our own self-interest? And the gig would be up. then Capito, as a Republican, couldn't pretend to be on their side. They'd be like, wait a minute, you just took my health insurance away. I'm sick. Yeah, that's right, that was our plan all along. So Capito's like, that was too obvious, man. I can't do that. Rob Portman comes out from Ohio and is like, I got to reconsider this, man. Susan Collins is like, no, this is even dumber. I'm not voting for this. She's out. And then camel that breaks the straw is back. Lisa Murkowski from Alaska came out immediately and was like, no, we're not going to repeal it with absolutely no plan to replace it. That is an even bigger disaster. So it's gone. And all of a sudden, they've got no plan. Let me give you more details. Responding to the news of the Senate bill's demise, Trump on Monday called on Republicans to vote for an outright repeal of Obamacare, urging lawmakers to start from a, quote, clean slate, while noting that he believed Democrats would join in. Let me read you that exact tweet because this is Donald Trump's plan. By the way, this plan, like I explained to you, he's so not following the news. This plan's already dead. Anyway, he tweeted earlier in the day, to be fair, Republicans should just repeal failing Obamacare now and work on a new healthcare plan that will start from a clean slate. Dems will join in. Yeah, I know, Democrats will join in to help you destroy Obamacare. And Mexico is gonna pay for the wall. We're all waiting for it, Donald, any second now, okay? He went on to compound that. As I've always said, let Obamacare fail and then come together and do a great healthcare plan. Stay tuned. Okay. No, we're not going to stay tuned. And look at how vicious that is. I'm going to get to his strategy here in a second because I'm going to play you a clip from Donald Trump. But the reason that it failed is this. This is from ABC News Washington Post poll I told you about just yesterday. On his party's signature campaign issue, healthcare, Americans by a 2-to-1 margin prefer Obamacare over the Republican plan to replace it, 50 to 24%. Okay, you know what that means? That means all of your lies about how Obamacare is failing, it's miserable, it's terrible, the American people hate it, is not true. 50% is actually pretty good overall and better than Obamacare had been doing before the people saw the alternative. They're like, what? Wow, the alternative is hideous. No, 50 to 24, that's a gigantic lead. They hate your plan. They hate it bigly. So Trump then is gonna come out and go, who cares? Let it just fail. The best case scenario for Trump here is people start dying. If he's right, he's not right. But if he was right, he's like, good, let him die in the streets. And then maybe the Democrats will want to do something about it because we're not gonna do what they want. We're not gonna help them, we're not gonna help Americans. We just want our plan passed because it has tax cuts for the rich. So let him fail. Okay, so here's Trump himself.
We're disappointed. I am very disappointed because, again, even as a civilian, for 7 years I've been hearing about health care. And I've been hearing about repeal and replace. And Obamacare is a total disaster. And I think you'll also agree that I've been saying for a long time, let Obamacare fail and then everybody's going to have to come together and fix it and come up with a new plan and a plan that's really good for the people with much lower premiums, much lower costs, and much better protection. I've been saying that, Mike, I think you'll agree, for a long time. Let Obamacare fail, it'll be a lot easier. And I think we're probably in that position where we'll just let Obamacare fail. We're not gonna own it. I'm not gonna own it. I can tell you the Republicans are not gonna own it. We'll let Obamacare fail, and then the Democrats are gonna come to us and they're gonna say, how do we fix it? How do we fix it? Or how do we come up with a new plan?
If you're following this issue, you're wondering, is he a monster or is he stupid? Correct answer, both. So when he says, I'm gonna let Obamacare fail, he's gonna say, yeah, then you guys aren't gonna have insurance. If he's right, he's not right. Obamacare is not failing. What does that mean? If you say premiums are too high, okay, that's a fair and interesting argument. We progressives warned against that, and there's ways that you can fix that. For example, we can negotiate drug prices for Medicare, which is what you said you would do during the campaign. We could protect Medicare, we could protect Medicaid, which is what you said you would do on the campaign. Those are things that Democrats would immediately agree to, but you're not doing any of that, right? So when he says Obamacare is failing, Well, the American people don't agree because it's fairly popular. It's way more popular than the Republican plan. Second of all, if it was failing, then people don't have insurance. They can't afford insurance. Then they're dying. And he's saying, yeah, let them die. Let Obamacare fail. Let it fail. That's monstrous. Now, wait a minute. If he was right and it failed later and people didn't have health insurance and they started dying, well, then they would just go back to this clip and they'd say, you like the idea of us not having insurance. You're the one who said let Obamacare fail. You're the one who couldn't pass any legislation to improve it or pass it, to get new legislation that you thought would be better. And you cavalierly told us to go die. How stupid are you that you just said that about 12 times on tape? And the reality is he doesn't care about you. He's never cared about you. It was all about me, 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 me. I'm Donald Trump. I'm gonna be rich. I'm gonna be successful. I'm gonna have power. And so if Obamacare is failing and hence you don't have insurance and your family suffers, great. And I'm so stupid I just said great on tape 8 times over. So they don't have a new plan. Their plan was always destruction. They don't have a constructive plan. Their plan would have taken more people off of healthcare, and the American people just said, go piss off. 24% approval rating for a plan is as miserable as you could possibly imagine. And what happened, Donald Trump? I thought you had the art of the deal. You're a deal maker. Where's your deal? I told you guys during the campaign, the number one problem with Donald Trump is actually his incompetence. Totally and utterly incompetent. Yesterday, as the bill is failing, he has no idea. He did a dinner with the Republicans and he's like, all right now, everything's going good, right? I mean, if we don't pass this, we're gonna be dopes. Hey, knucklehead, pull Mike Lee aside. Pull the people who are objecting aside and try to make a deal. He didn't even do any of that because he's so stupid. He doesn't know what the hell's in the deal. The last time he met with the Republicans, they said, now remember all the tax cuts for the rich we have in there. He's like, what tax cuts? No, that's a different bill. They're like, no, there's $700 billion in tax cuts in this bill. He's like, really? No, I think you got that wrong. He doesn't know anything. That's why he went bankrupt 6 times. And he's basically doing that to the country now, destroying everything he touches. But we are gonna leave on 2 fun notes. First of all, let's just note for the record, one more time, they failed. Obamacare lives. So what now? Okay, they'll come back. They're zombies. I know they'll come back. There's $700 billion of tax cuts in there that they gotta have. So they'll do tax reform and then they'll try to come back to this. But the second fun note to leave you on is Mike Pence. After this bumbling fool gets himself thrown out of office, this guy's gonna be president. Understand who Mike Pence is. JR did a great video here of Mike Pence's reaction in that last video you watched of Trump. Look at this sad yes man. Watch this. Okay, yeah, right, Oh, another nod. Oh, that's good. Okay, yeah, big guy. Oh, you're so right, Donald Trump. Don't ever forget this video. Oh yeah, I'm behind you, Donald. Oh, everything you say, Donald. Oh, that's a good one. I'm gazing now. Intently. You know what they call me in Indiana? Mike. Oh yeah.
Mike, I think you'll agree for a long time.
Another nod and another nod. That is my dear leader. Okay, yeah. That's who Mike Pence is. So I look forward to wrestling with him later. If you like this video, you probably like independent media. The best way to support independent media, become a member of the Young Turks. TYTnetwork.com/join.